At Fox Weather, we followed Helene's aftermath in the days, the weeks, the months that followed, sharing the important stories of those still picking up the pieces. And one of the people we've been checking in with throughout the process is Asheville resident Debora Singer Stuart. And she joins us now with an update on where things stand almost an entire year later. Debora, it's great to chat with you again. Incredible that we first spoke back in October of last year, and then later in December and in March. And you've shared these stories, little victories, some big ones too, but also a lot of struggle there in Asheville and in outlying communities. What goes through your mind now as we say Helene 1 year later?
You know, it's amazing to think that it's been a whole year. I think there's times when you feel like it's been a couple of years, and then there's other times you feel like it was just yesterday. And so we've come a long way. There's been major improvements. You know, when you look at the major interstates and roadways, we've seen bridges rebuilt and things like that. But then we also have a lot of bridges and roads that aren't used, obviously like an interstate, that still need to be fixed. So there's still a lot of visual reminders of what this area has been through. There's a lot of visual reminders, but basically, you know, I would say that we've seen a lot of improvement in this area. I'm actually here at Asheville Christian Academy, where our school was devastated by the storm, and it's great that we're back in class. We've been back in class for a while now, and just to see the resilience of the kids and, you know, families and things has been really amazing to witness.
I wanted to ask you more about that as the community tries to get back to some level of normalcy. We knew when this happened that it was going to be a long time to get back to what things were. What's that been like, especially for young people going through this trauma over the past year?
You know, I asked my son actually this morning, you know, how has Hurricane Helene changed you? And he said, you know, it was actually the hardest thing at his age that he had ever had to go through. But it made him lean more into his faith. It made him, you know, get closer to his friends. And we had some, you know, I think the resilience, especially of teachers that are, you know, helping these students to deal with trauma and such a, you know, a disaster has been amazing. The teachers have been so amazing with our kids, and I just want to give them obviously some major props there. But I think kids they're able to bounce back. They're very resilient, which is so amazing to see how resilient they are. And yeah, I'm just thankful that we're all together as a community.
So many challenges, and you guys have faced them all head on. We were talking about normalcy. I think it was the last time we spoke. Interstate 40 had just reopened. That was a huge milestone for everybody there. Is there something that you look back on in the past year and you're like, man, we're bouncing back, we're getting there?
Yeah, I would say, you know, there's actually a bridge right near my son's school that had been wiped out. And when that bridge reopened, everybody was talking about it because it was such a symbolic way to see how things have improved. And I think it got everybody excited. But I would say, yeah, just, you know, seeing people on the road, seeing people, you know, I was even thinking about a coffee shop that just opened in Swannanoa, which, as you know, is really badly hit, and seeing the resilience of this place reopening a small business. They actually had a grand opening, and just seeing the community gather together and be together unified is just beautiful to see.
I love that. Yeah. And we had talked in the immediate aftermath. Your home wasn't destroyed, thankfully, but you were directly impacted. Thousands of people there, though, were displaced by Helene. They lost their homes entirely. Has there been much of an improvement in the housing situation? I know this was such a huge undertaking because of the scale, the scope of how many homes were destroyed.
That's a great question. I think what's problematic for this area is that we were already so experiencing such a housing shortage before the storm in this area. So a lot of people, honestly, I think had to leave because they couldn't make it here in the Asheville area. They couldn't afford housing. They couldn't afford to replace their homes. They had to leave. I do know that there are still people that are displaced. We've seen, I believe, an increase in homelessness and people trying to address those needs. You know, I have seen people coming together like, how are we going to address the homelessness more? And, you know, I think we still have a long way to go, Ian.
Yeah, that's the hard aspect of this, is that you find joy in the places where the community is bouncing back, but you know there is still so much loss, so much hardship that the community has been through, and such a long road moving forward. And that's why it's important to keep talking about this, to talk and tell the important stories of the aftermath and the recovery there. And you've been a great resource for us. So Debora Singer Stuart, great to reconnect with you, and hope to talk again soon. Thank you.